Let's face it, if you drive, it is inevitable that at some point you're going to travel through a work zone. And regardless if that work zone is to fix a bridge, pave a road, or repair a utility, all work zones have one thing in common: workers who are putting their life on the line to improve your overall quality of life. Far too frequently we take work zones for granted, but it's a mistake to ever take the role that highway workers play as anything less than serious. They are all depending on you to do the right thing to help them get home safely at the end of the day. Like the rest of us, highway workers have a job to do, except their job is incredibly dangerous. They have to worry about careless drivers, drivers under the influence of drugs or alcohol, speeding drivers, and virtually every other dangerous driving behavior that you can think of. Although I'm in a closed work zone today, highway workers are on the road in active work zones just like this every day. Far too often, drivers make poor decisions that result in tragic consequences.
October 1st, 2010. Beautiful October, sunny morning, about 10 after 9 in the morning. I received a phone call at my office from one of my assistant managers that one of our crews had been involved in an accident. Jack was flagging, and an operator of a vehicle drove right through the work zone, running the flagger over and hitting the individual who was running the saw, cutting the road. This gentleman passed 3 signs with orange flags waving in these signs on a beautiful sunny day on a straight stretch. Was impaired enough that he did not realize that he had run somebody over, and then ran into the second individual, and the only reason that he stopped when he hit the second individual is because the saw that we were cutting the road with was buried in the road. The district attorney from McKean County, as well as the McKean County coroner, show up at the site. They asked to speak to me along with the state police, and they had informed me that one of the crew members had died as a result of the injuries that he had received in the accident. The work zone was set up properly. Vehicles were being controlled through a flagging operation, and this gentleman, under the influence of drugs, now cost someone his life and somebody their livelihood. The other individual, who was not killed in the incident, did not return to work, and I know to this day is still having problems getting around. The impaired driver had pled guilty to 8 charges. The drugs that they found in his system were prescribed drugs from a doctor. And 2 years later, he gets to spend 4 to 8 years in jail. Having a driver's license in Pennsylvania is a privilege. It's not a right. You have to earn that privilege. And in order to keep it, you have to make sure that you, as well as all your passengers and all the people out in the public around you, arrive home safely. 2 years ago, Jack didn't make it home safely. 2 years later, the gentleman who took his life is still in jail.
That's why it's so important, regardless of whether you're just now learning how to drive or even if you've driven around the block a time or two, work zones deserve your full attention. You see, it's not just highway workers that are relying on you to be work zone smart, but other motorists too. The reality is, if you're not safe in a work zone, you're not only endangering the lives of highway workers and of other travelers, you're also risking your own life. It's a huge responsibility, and being work zone smart is easy if you just follow a few simple rules. Slow down and always follow the posted speed limit. Turn your headlights on. This isn't just to make your vehicle more visible. In Pennsylvania, it's the law. Always pay attention to the full task at hand. We have a saying in Pennsylvania, it's just drive. And it's really that simple. In a work zone, just drive. Avoid distractions, and you'll dramatically increase safety for everyone. So what do I mean by just drive? Well, for starters, put down the cell phone, look for that lost pen later, and don't check your MP3 player for what song to play. These are just a few examples of the seemingly innocent but dangerous distracted behaviors that highway workers see each and every day. As I mentioned earlier, there are many different work zones, and a lot of coordination goes on behind the scenes to make sure that everyone is safe. The enforcement of work zone laws is the responsibility of the Pennsylvania State Police. State troopers patrol work zones to enforce posted speed limits and other safer driving laws. It's serious business, and if you are caught speeding 11 miles per hour or more above the posted speed limit in a work zone, you're automatically going to lose your driver's license for 15 days, and sooner or later, you will get caught. Choosing to ignore speed limits or other highway laws is just plain dangerous, not just for highway workers, but for each and every person who shares Pennsylvania roads. It's very important to pay attention to your surroundings while driving. All work zones are similar, but you may see different safety devices used. For instance, one work zone may use cones, while another could use barrels. But regardless of what devices are used, they all mean the same thing. Slow down, pay attention, and use caution. We've all seen work zones from the driver's perspective, but rarely do you get to see what it's like from the highway worker's perspective.
As you can see, we use stop-slow paddles in certain work zone setups to control the flow of traffic. We communicate with our flagging counterparts by handheld radios so that we are all aware of the vehicles traveling within the work zone. We are there to provide guidance to motorists to ensure everyone's safety.
PennDOT, local governments, utility companies, and private roadway construction contractors are just a few of the organizations that set up and work in highway work zones every day. But as we mentioned earlier, all highway workers are people with faces, names, families, and loved ones who are out on our roads every day to make our lives easier and our travel safer. So for their safety and yours, please remember to just drive so that we can all get home at the end of the day.